Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala and I am Reema Gupta from University of Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about the module Electrical and Magnetic Properties Part 4 and this is from the paper Ceramics. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. So we will be talking about the fundamentals of linear dielectrics, the mechanism of polarization, and lastly, we will be discussing about the frequency dependence of dielectric constant. So before moving further, let us discuss what are dielectrics. So dielectrics are insulating or non-conducting ceramic materials and are used in many applications such as capacitors, memories, sensors and actuators. So for the sake of simplicity, we can assume that there is no long range moment of charges. First, we will look the simple properties of dielectric materials such as dipole moment, polarizations, susceptibilities, polarizabilities and polarization mechanism. So after that, we will be doing analytical treatment of polarizabilities for each of the polarization mechanism to understand the meaning of these polarizabilities. Subsequently, we will do the detailed analysis of electrical properties for each of the polarization mechanism under the influence of alternating field that is very much important from the point of understanding the behavior of these materials in real conditions. So let us discuss about the dielectrics in DC electric field. Upon application of a DC or static electric field, there is long range migration of charges. However, there is a limited movement of charges leading to the formation of charged dipoles and the material in this state is considered as polarized. So these dipoles are aligned in the direction of the applied field and the applied field can also align the dipoles that were already present in the material, that is, material containing dipoles without application of the field. Of course, both these effects may be present in single material, that is dipole can be aligned as well as be induced by the applied field. So the net effect is called polarization of the material. So this effect is quantified by the dipole moment, or we can say an electric dipole. So an electric dipole comprises of two equal and opposite point charges that are separated by a distance delta. So the resulting dipole moment is mu and is expressed as mu is equal to q into delta. So students, you can see in the figure there are two charges, that is equally and opposite charges plus q and minus q, which are separated by a distance delta. So the dipole moment is a vector and plus mu points from negative to positive charge and it has units of coulomb meter. Polarization. So total dipole moment per unit volume is defined as polarization, that is P, and the unit of polarization is coulomb per meter square. So it is given as P is equal to summation mu by V, where P can also be written as dx into summation Q divided by Vs. So here mu is the induced dipole moment, which is equal to charges into the separation between them. So here the dx is the separation, summation Q is sum over all the charges. So the expression which we get is P is equal to dx summation Q divided by dx into A. So here the expression becomes summation q by A. So we can say that NC is equal to summation Q, which is equal to P into A. So when all the dipoles are aligned in one direction, P can be written as N into mu, where N are the dipole moments, that is number of dipoles per unit volume. So P is equal to 0 does not mean that the material does not necessarily have dipole moments. Rather, it is likely that the vector summation of all the dipole moment is equal to 0, which is always the case if the dipoles were vectorially speaking randomly distributed. Now comes the polarization and surface charge. Imagine a parallel plate capacitor with homogeneously distributed polarized material between the plates. Assume that all the dipole moments are aligned in the same direction. Now, if we look at the charge density in the small volume of a material, then it is clearly 0 and hence both positive and negative charges are equal. While at the same surface there is a finite charge, so on both surfaces the charges move out by a tiny distance, that is dx, which is nothing but the surface polarization charge, which can be calculated. So the total number of charges, that is n, on the surface of an area capital A is equal to the number of dipoles contained within the surface volume V, which is equal to A into dx, times the charge of the dipole, that is q, which is nothing but equivalent to one layer of the surface charge. So assuming homogeneous distribution of dipoles, the polarization, as we have discussed earlier, it is given as summation mu upon V. So the polarization is equal to dx into summation q by vs. So here the subscript s implies the surface. So the expression is summation q upon a. So the summation over s implies the sum over the surface volume. Hence, NC is equal to summation s q, which is equal to PA. So the surface charge density sigma is equal to NC by A, which is equal to magnitude of P. So P is a scalar quantity if PA is scalar. If polarization is normal to the surface, then sigma is equal to NP, where N is the outward pointing unit normal vector to the surface of the polarized material. Now students, let us discuss about the origin of polarization. So true dipoles creating polarization in materials, not surface effect. What is the response of these various dipole mechanism to various electric field frequencies? So let us discuss these questions one by one. Now the polarization mechanism and their frequency dependence. So there are basically three types of polarization that can exist. So the first is electronic polarization, second is ionic polarization, and the third one is molecular polarization. So let us explain the electronic and ionic polarization. So if we talk about electronic polarization, the figure on the left hand side shows the schematic of it. So if a molecule is kept in the field of applied electric field E, the dipoles are formed, that is the positive and negative charge separated by a distance of delta. So there is a shift in electron orbitals resulting in electronic polarization. Whereas if we talk about ionic polarization, which usually there in ionic solids, the two atoms, that is cations and anions, are separated by an ionic bond. So when E is 0, when there is no applied field, there is no contraction or expansion. Whereas when electric field is applied, there is an induced polarization which comes into picture. Frequency dependence. So students, you can see the frequency dependence of the dielectric constant on frequency. So students, you can see the different regions of polarizations or the different regions of dielectric constant where different mechanisms are playing role. So the first is the interface polarization. Next, it is dipole polarization, and then it is ionic polarization and electronic polarization. Now consider a vacuum plate capacitor configuration to understand the concept of dielectric constant and susceptibilities. So students, on the left hand side, you can see a parallel plate vacuum capacitor, and below that you can see a parallel capacitor with a dielectric in between, where a blue material corresponds to dielectric. The dipoles are also shown in the dielectric material, whereas there are few free charges which are present and bound charges present on the surface. So for a vacuum capacitor, Q is equal to integration I dt, or Q is equal to CV, where capacitance of the vacuum is given as C vacuum is epsilon naught A by D, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space and is equal to 8.85 into 10 to power minus 12. So if one inserts a dielectric between the plates, then the capacitance get modified as C is equal to epsilon A by D. So here epsilon is equal to epsilon R into epsilon naught, where epsilon R is the dielectric permittivity, or more commonly as relative dielectric constant, with value greater than C is equal to epsilon R epsilon naught A by D, or C is equal to epsilon R C vacuum. So the capacitance of a dielectric medium is epsilon R times of C vacuum. Therefore, inserting a dielectric leads to an increase in the charge storage in the capacitor, which is shown in this figure. Basically, epsilon R signifies some sort of interaction between the material and electromagnetic field. So students, you can see a plot of current and voltage with effect to dielectric medium. So now the question arises, why does inserting a dielectric increases the capacitance of a capacitor? So students, you can see that as the dielectric is increasing from vacuum to another medium, the C, that is capacitance, increases drastically, as you can see in this figure. So let's see why it happens. So if a parallel plate capacitor without any dielectric is there, so the surface charge in vacuum, that is sigma S, is equal to Q upon A in vacuum, which is equal to CV by A, in turns equal to epsilon naught V by D. So sigma S is equal to epsilon naught E in vacuum, where E is the applied field due to potential V between the plates. In the presence of a dielectric, the net charge density now becomes sigma net is equal to Q upon A dielectric, which is equal to epsilon R, epsilon naught V by D, which is equal to sigma S plus sigma external. Sigma external is nothing but due to the presence of dielectric and due to polarization of charges, which can be written as sigma polarization. So sigma net is equal to sigma vacuum plus sigma polarization. So this can be written as sigma vacuum plus some extra term which is given as rho coming from the polarization of a dielectrics. So according to electromagnetic theory, the surface charge on the plates can be defined as the dielectric displacement, that is capital D. So D we know that it is Q by A, so it becomes D is equal to sigma vacuum plus P. Now we know that D is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R E. So the expression for D is epsilon naught E plus P, or P is equal to epsilon naught E times epsilon R minus 1, which in turns equal to xi epsilon naught E, where xi is called the dielectric susceptibility and is expressed as xi is equal to epsilon R minus 1, which is equal to P upon epsilon naught E. So this implies that the susceptibility is nothing but the ratio of polarized charge or excess charge to the surface charge in vacuum capacitor. Now students, let us compare some optical property, that is refractive index, and electrical measurements for dielectric constant. So students, we know that epsilon R is equal to n square from electromagnetic theory. So, there is a list of various materials like carbon, germanium, sodium chloride, water, etc. having the dielectric constant and n square given in this table. So, students, you can see that with change in dielectric constant, the n square also changes. Now, the question arises, what is the reason of polarization? So it can be said that it is basically due to short range movement of masses, that is electrons, atoms or molecules under applied electric field. Such a movement is not likely to occur arbitrarily fast, rather it is a function of the frequency of applied field. This also implies that the dielectric properties are also a function of the frequency, and these properties are also a function of material structure and temperature. But for now, we will turn our attention to understand the basics of the mechanism of polarization and qualitatively what it means in terms of applied frequency. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. So students, we have learned that the dielectric materials are characterized by the parameters such as dielectric constant, dielectric susceptibility and polarization. So the dielectric polarization is caused by the movement of electrons or ions or molecules from their equilibrium positions and is frequency dependent. This is because mass of each entity is different and hence the time scales are different. So there are basically 4 polarization mechanisms which we have discussed in this module, and they are electronic polarization mechanism, ionic, dipolar and orientation we can say, and the fourth one is interface. And each of these mechanism is characterized by different polarizability. So the net polarizability of a solid will be the sum of all the 4 polarizabilities. Thank you.